So hello there, welcome to Damien's Trains and Travels and welcome to the video, and this is a review of an item in the Thomas Bachmann range, and it is Mr. Jolly's chocolate van that's come out in the HO scale, and there is a G scale version as well. G scale is the slightly larger range by Bachmann, and the only one I've got so far is Winston, but I do intend to buy more. I said you can buy this one and that one, but say this is the HO scale one for now, but hopefully in the future I'm going to be doing a garden railway. I did announce when I did a review last year that I'd moved house, and my plan is I've got a room, and that is eventually going to be the model railway room, so I'll have my actual 00 HO scale one in there, and hopefully get one in the garden as well for the G scale one, which is what G scale is designed for. Obviously there's been quite a lot in the model railway world recently, so Hatton's, which is a model railway shop which was originally in Liverpool, later on moved to Cheshire, and there's a photo of me here outside the one in Liverpool when it was there. I never went to the new store unfortunately, but say it has now closed down, which I think is a real shame. And also Worley, which was a great big model railway show at the NEC in Birmingham, which I always thoroughly enjoyed going to. Obviously there's lots of stalls, lots of different model railways, you get to meet a few famous faces over the years there as well. There's plenty of videos of that on my channel if you go to my playlist, and it's called Worley Model Railway Exhibition over the years, something like that. Can't remember the exact name, but anyway, it's under the playlist, so you'll see all my videos from Worley. So I went on about 5 different occasions. I went for the first time around 2007 when I was quite young. I was about 15. I went to that one, but I wasn't actually on YouTube back then, and then I went about another 6 years later in 2013, and I went for a few years, and then I sort of stopped again. And I did plan to go last year, but obviously last year for me personally it was a bit expensive, and obviously now unfortunately it's not going ahead. But they have actually, although Worley has stopped, they have announced another model railway show, so you know, good luck to them. Glad that it continues. But I think the reason, I mean, another channel that's also mentioned about obviously why the world of model railways has sort of struggled is Sam's Trains, and I've watched Sam's Trains videos quite a lot, and he's watched a lot of mine as well and commented on them, and he was the reason why I ended up changing my channel's name, because my channel's name, as you probably know, originally was Damien Lemaitre, and before that I had another name, but I changed it to Damien Lemaitre, and then I just kept it as that, and then the channel ended up getting a bit bigger than I thought it was ever going to be. I didn't expect to get so many subscribers as I did. I mean, I wouldn't count myself as, you know, massive, but I have been to a lot of model railway shows and galas and things like that over the years, and I have been recognised by a few people and that, which is quite nice. And also I was down at Wellingborough Museum, my local one, the other day, and there was a few people that had come, and you know, even from a bit further than Wellingborough, and they knew who I was and my channel and all that as well, which is quite nice. And I've always said, you know, you should do it because you enjoy it, not because of other people sort of pressuring you or to become big. You should do what videos you like because of it. Like I say, Sam's Trains was a bit of an inspiration to why I changed my name, because someone said to me, I think it was a girl I was talking to at work, someone said to me, you know, what's your channel's name? I think she just asked me because she didn't know, because she knew I had a channel. She said to me, is it called Damien's Trains? And then that got me thinking, but then I thought, well, I don't really want to be Damien's Trains because that's too similar to Sam's Trains. And then I don't know why, for some reason I thought Trains and Travels, so I ended up changing the name, and I've had the name now since May last year, so 9 months now. I've been known as Damien's Trains and Travels, although people still refer to me by the other name, which is okay, but hopefully in years to come it will be more remembered for Damien's Trains and Travels, which is what the channel now is, and is going to stay that way. But Sam's Trains was talking about, you know, how things have changed in the model railway world and how expensive it's got. He's probably more of an expert of it than I am. And there's also been a recent article by Pete Waterman saying that model railways are not dying, which I do agree with him. You know, but then unfortunately, myself included, you know, when you've got a mortgage to pay and other bills, and you know, you've got a house needs decorating, you've got other priorities in life like food and that, and the fact we're in a cost of living crisis, unfortunately, you know, a lot of people that I know, myself, you know, included, I mean, this is personal opinion, you know, they're not going to be fussed about model railways. They're going to be more focused on getting their priorities sorted first. So I think that's part of the reason why, you know, and I mean, it's got a lot more expensive, I'd say definitely over the last 8 years or so. I've noticed that it's become a lot more expensive, you know, but obviously when hopefully my house is decorated and that, I will buy myself some more model railway stuff in the future, but it will be just a treat really, because like I said, it has become so expensive for people, unfortunately. So moving back on, this is Mr. Jolly's chocolate van, the Ventilated van that originally appeared. So this van would have actually appeared in Series 6 in the episode Percy's Chocolate Crunch. I'd say that was one of my more favourite episodes in Series 6. I quite liked it. But this van's a lot different because you can probably just about see that the logo has actually been painted onto the side of the van on here. Whereas in the TV series, it was just the standard like Great Western ventilated vans and the LNER ones that they had, where they've just sort of stuck the logo on the sides. And again, these are the sort of vans that you just tend to see in the background of episodes as well. So no, the vans weren't really painted specially or anything. They say they literally just had the logo stuck on the side of them. And then also you had the Mr. Jolly's Chocolate Factory, which had the logo on the side. And in the background, you can just about see there's some lorries. And again, the lorries weren't really anything special. They were just the standard sort of lorries that, again, you just see in the background of episodes. And again, they just had the logo stuck on. Like I said, the actual railway vans themselves didn't appear again after Series 6. But the lorries did appear in the background in the episode Too Hot for Thomas. You can see in the background here. And the Chocolate Factory was seen in Series 6 and in Series 8 a couple of times. And the Chocolate Factory was also used in Series 7 for the Pudding Factory as well. And also another Series 7 episode when you can see Thomas running towards crossing, almost running into Oliver before Emily pushes him out of the way. You can see Thomas actually puffing alongside the Chocolate Factory as well. But I'm assuming the set was being used for something else. So the actual set of the factory has been used for other things as well, which is quite interesting. And I do really, really like this van. I think it's a nice colour. Like I say, I like how Logan's paint on the side of it. And Hornby also did. Obviously, you had in Series 8, you had the ice cream trucks, which again, the vans have been painted specially for the ice cream factory, but the logo had been stuck on the side, whereas on the actual Hornby version, they'd painted it on. And I always thought that Hornby, some of their models of the locomotives weren't always fantastic. However, I always thought with a lot of their rolling stock, it was spot on. And again, obviously, I was mentioning prices and that earlier and how model railways gone up over the years. I remember when I was younger, some of these like wagons, when I was about 12, 13 years old, when I guess I sort of started getting more into the hobby. I mean, I was well under the age of 10 when I first got into the hobby, when I got my first actual Thomas model railway set, or train set as I call them. When I first got that, I was quite young. I'd probably maybe been about 5, 6 maybe. But when I was about 12, 13, I started getting more into the actual model railway stuff and buying more of the Thomas stuff as well, and getting stuff mainly as presents and that. But then later on, when I got older, buying stuff for myself as well with the Thomas range. And I do remember a lot of the wagons being a lot more cheaper, and like £3 or £4, a lot cheaper. I mean, sometimes if you look around now online and things like that, or it shows, you can get some good deals. But rolling stock has become very, very expensive. Whereas years ago, for the price of a wagon now, you could have probably bought about 3 or 4 maybe back then, but unfortunately not now. But there's obviously a lot of factors considered. As I say, if you watch Sam's Trains, he probably mentions a lot more, goes into more details than what I do, about the cost of model railways. And when I first started doing reviews, I've actually been doing reviews now for about 10 years on my channel. And it was in the Percy, the circus one, I actually started talking about rolling stock, and I think I said I wasn't planning to do many reviews on rolling stock, just the locomotives. However, as you know, I've go to a lot of preserve railways as well, and on the preserve railways, I always like seeing the old station signs, and also you get to see freight demonstrations, so the old wagons being used in mixed freight trains, as they would have done years ago. Not always carrying stuff, but they're fantastic to see. And I guess for me, that was my interest in rolling stock as well as the locomotives as well. And I think, obviously, I have always liked rolling stock, because at the end of the day, it is more interesting to see a locomotive actually pulling a train rather than not pulling anything. And again, going back onto this wagon, like I said, I really like the colour of it. I like the logo on the side of it as well. And as you know, I collect the Ertl diecast range. I've got most of them now anyway, but I've got them in the box and out the box as well. And they did do some like van troublesome trucks, and it was a shame, I think, that they didn't bring out Mr. Jolly's chocolate factory versions in the Ertl range, although there was other ranges like the wooden range and the Trackmaster range and the Tommy range that they did use Mr. Jolly's chocolate factory logo on, like chocolate themed trucks, so they weren't entirely forgotten. So as I was saying earlier, you probably saw in the last video that I uploaded, I was down at Wellingborough Museum, and at Wellingborough Museum they've got the model railway layout, and I often do a Thomas running day down there, and there was lots of children turned up. So again, I do agree there's lots of children that are probably interested in model railways, but a lot of them using up their grandparents or the grandparents who probably maybe got more money buying stuff for them as well. So when they're older, they're going to be able to carry on continuing with the prices the way things are going. Who knows? I mean, I'll be buying stuff, but it will be very moderation in the future again when they've got the house sorted out. But like I said, I obviously was quite sad to hear about Hatton's, and I've been inside that store, and it's funny actually, when I did my video about Hatton's when I went there, one of the other shops that appears in the background was Toys R Us, and that unfortunately ended up closing down. Although I do believe they've come back online, but I mean, I prefer an actual shop to go into and have a look around, not just looking and scrolling through the internet, because it's I think it's nicer to see it in person before you buy it, rather than just buy it on the internet personally. But I mean, I have done some internet shopping in the past, because sometimes it has become a lot cheaper, and I think you have to really think about yourself, unfortunately. Not just about the big businesses, but you have to do what's best for you as well. So I've done a fair amount of internet shopping over the years. But yeah, I've been going to a lot more, so seeing like rail tours over the last 10 or 11 years now, going to preserve railways as well. Like I said, yeah, this van obviously appeared in Series 6 in the episode Percy's Chocolate Crunch, when Percy ended up crashing through the factory and getting covered in chocolate. So it was one of my more favourite episodes in Series 6. And I think it's nice that obviously these vans only appeared in one episode and they actually made them into something, in the range. And that, I do think the detail on this is absolutely superb. And the logo and everything looks spot on to, again, what it looked like in the TV series. But this model is based upon a Great Western Railway ventilated van. So I think Bachmann has done a really, really good job on this. So as you saw, I was down at Wellingborough Museum the other day, and I've been running my models there now for 10 years. I first started running them there in 2014, although it wasn't such a public display. It was just I was part of a model railway club at the time, and we were having meetings down there, so I just took some of my stuff down there, and they said to me, if you want to, run your stuff there, so I did. And then it was about another 4 years later in 2018. I was down there one day, and one of the guys remembered me down there, and I just said to him, I think he was saying that it'd be nice if they had a event where they, it was model railway theme and people come down. And I said, well, I do the Thomas ones. Why don't we do the Thomas running days? And so, I've been running the Thomas ones there now, I say for 10 years, but then 6 years, for a public display. And we always get children coming down. They like all the different figures that I bring down as well. I know they're not all in scale, but at the end of the day, that's what I like about them. And like I said, I took this chocolate one down. You can see it runs really nicely as well. But yeah, I do plan to go down to Wellingborough Museum again in the future. I can't say when, but if you look on their Facebook page, or if you look on my community tab, because on YouTube now you've got the community tab, and I often put updates of when I'm going to go down there again. So if you ever do fancy coming down, I mean, it's a free entry event. The museum itself, say, free to get into. Obviously, a donation would be nice if you can. There is a shop there as well, a cafe as well. Obviously, it's nice to support it to keep it going as well. But I often do Thomas Run days down there. But if I was to give this model of the van a score, I'd give it a 10 out of 10, because I do think the detail is absolutely superb. And this has come out quite recently, which I think is quite nice. Because, like I said, this was only seen during the model series of the show. Obviously, the show used to be made using models, and then it became CGI animated. And I definitely preferred the model series than I did to the CGI animated version. But I think even the CGI animated version is better than what Thomas is now. It's become 2D animated. And I know from what I've seen, I mean, I wouldn't say I watch too much news or anything, or, I try not to in a way, really. But from what I have seen online, and from what other people have shared me, there has been a lot of uproar about what Thomas has now become compared to what it used to be, and I think it's a shame as well. And, I certainly am glad that I grew up in the area that I did with Thomas, rather than what's around now, really. But again, I do like about Bachmann that they have kept them close to what the models look like originally. I mean, there's some characters like, I don't know, Rosie, for example. Her face looks like it did in the CGI series, but Rosie was actually introduced in Series 10 in the model era of the show. And, I think they've captured her quite well, and I think it's nice they brought her out with the same. And like I said, I think at least the models don't look like they do in what I'm saying is in the 2D animated version. So the detail on them still quite nice. But yeah, I'm hoping to do some more reviews, hopefully another time. Again, going back to the packaging. The packaging I'm not as keen on this, as I think the Hornby one's a lot better, where it's more secure inside the box. I say this one's not as securely, I don't think, in the box. And I know, again, Sam's Trains has had models damaged from this sort of packaging over the years. I've been quite lucky. I've not really had many models damaged. But the packaging's quite sort of flimsy in a way, I guess, really. So it'd be better, if it was in the same, I say, in the same sort of style like the Bachmann one, so the Hornby ones are. I think it would be much better if it was in the same style of box as the Hornby ones were. But yeah, definitely a fantastic model, runs really nicely. So it is rolling stock at the end of the day, so I guess there's not a huge amount I can say about it, really, like I can the actual engines. But thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.